get on with our module 8. So like I said, no, module 8 is called freeform modeling. So ano nga ba freeform modeling? Ano? So freeform modeling has a lot of branches in terms of techniques. For this module though, we will only be tackling on one of the most mainstream modeling techniques, both in digital and physical, sculpting. No, yan, saya yan, no? Sculpting. Sino ba dito nakapag-sculpt na, no? Either in clay or using mga digital
3D
software.
script ko.
Mm.
Blender.
So, it's good yun, no? It's good na nakaano kayo. But then again, kahit hindi pa kayo nakakapag-sculpt talaga in general, it's okay lang rin naman. Yung sculpting na features naman natin sa 3ds Max and Blender, lalo na sa Blender, it's very very beginner friendly. A bit on traditional clay, oh yeah, that's good. Kasi at least kung may experience ka sa sculpting, that's going to actually benefit you lalo, no? It might take a bit of getting used to, lalo na sa paggamit ng mga brushes, no? Kasi we don't have yung mga traditional knife natin, yung mga scalpel, no? Yung mga knives natin, ano? So it's going to be a bit different na, no? So, dito tayo magkakaiba nga lang, no? When it comes to 3ds Max and Blender. Anong specific na sculpting ba talaga gagawin natin? Will we be doing statues, objects? So sadly, that's going to be a no. Ang magiging focus lang natin dito sa ating sa freeform modeling dahil nga sa 3ds Max kasi when it comes to sculpting features or functions, sadly there's no comparison really. Blender outranks 3ds Max when it comes to sculpting kasi sa Autodesk we already have a dedicated software for sculpting that's called Modbox that's called Modbox. Sa 3ds Max naman it does have a sculpting function, but it's very limited only, and it's really mainly used for just like doing very very intricate details like siguro mga bumps, mga scratches sa mga object mo, etc., or its main functionality talaga is building terrain, no? Building terrain, yung mga mountains, no? Mga bumps sa lupa, etc., no? So before we actually get started sa sculpting, to be honest, sa Blender kahit di ko na i-discuss to kasi for sure nabuksan nyo na to siguro while you're exploring Blender, no? Sa 3ds Max kasi may konting setup pa tayo a bit before we actually start sculpting, no? Or applying freeform modeling. So, okay, let's do wait, naka-share na pala ako. So, na tayo? It's 3ds Max, balik tayo, no? So, before we actually start sculpting, magano muna kayo, no? I need to see first kasi in most cases, some of you have already this kind of UI na, no? This part right here, itong may mga tabs dito that says modeling freeform section object page, and then populate. This is what you call a ribbon, no? Pero if this is your first time installing 3ds Max talaga in general, most likely iba yung nyo dito, ribbon nyo, no? So pwedeng nakalagay what's new, get started, basic modeling, materials, no? So I used that when I made game. So yan natin. Please mark lang as a thumbs up kung sino dito yung ganito na yung yung ribbon nila, tapos thumbs down kapag nakalagay basic modeling, materials, etc., lighting, etc., no? So react nga kayo sa Zoom guys. Thumbs up kung pareho na kayo ng sa akin, thumbs down kapag hindi. Thumbs down. Okay. So naman natin. So if hindi kayo similar sa akin, then you might want to follow me while to set up your ribbon na, no? So under ribbon most likely ganito yung naka-minimize yung ribbon natin dito. So you might want to click muna this one right here, this icon right here that na parang drop down button. Then kapag on hover, it says show full ribbon. Click nyo yun, show full ribbon, para malaki-laki yung space natin, yung mapag-clickan natin, no? And then, click on an empty space. Hanap lang kayo dyan sa mga panels nyo, no? Kung saan meron may empty space, no? And then, on that empty space, right-click lang tayo. right-click, and then punta tayo sa ribbon configuration, and then reset ribbon to default, no? So, and then once napindot nyo yan, confirm nyo lang, and then you're good to go na. Just wait for your software to initialize para ma-load na niya itong original na na ribbon, no? So I'm gonna give you 1 minute to do that, no? So right-click, ribbon configuration, and then reset ribbon to default. Hindi nyo nakakailanganin yung beginner's ribbon natin, kasi na kayo. Naka 9 weeks na tayo ng puro 3D, So by this time, gets nyo na siguro dapat yung software nyo, no? Okay? Says one, this will reset the ribbon to factors. Yes. And then, yes po lang yan, Daphne, no? Kasi we won't really be using that anymore na, no? Because everything na nakalagay dun sa ribbon na yun, nandito na sa ating, nasa command panel na natin lahat yun, eh. Yung basic modeling, yung pag-add natin ng 3D, pag-add natin ng 2D, yung lightings, etc., etc. And then, yun nga, no? Materials natin. We already know that naman na. And thus, we don't really need this part here anymore. Yung beginners na ribbon natin, no? So, okay na? Okay na, guys? And then, yun lang naman talaga ang basic setup natin, Ito lang naman yung pinaka-basic setup natin. And then, to actually start sculpting, do take note, guys, if you're going to start sculpting or basically trying to edit your model using yung mga brush sculpting tools natin or yung mga paint deformation tools natin, you might want to make sure na naka-high poly siya, no? So let's say this is my complex object na, and then nag-apply na ako ng open subdiv, no? Or turbo smooth. Once you're satisfied na with that, you have to convert it to editable poly naman na. Make sure na okay na kayo dun sa current model mo na yon, no? Before actually converting this to an editable poly, lalo na kung may mga listed of modifiers ka dyan. Or what you can do, duplicate mo yung yung object na yon, and then yung duplicated object mo, dun mo na i-convert to editable poly. Yun ang usual na natin dun na practice natin dun. To make a copy ba, one low poly and then one high poly, no? So once you're done na editable poly na to, we can start sculpting na, no? We can start sculpting na. So sa 3ds Max, we have 2 paint deformation tools, no? Or yung mga freeform modeling tools natin. This is yung yung number 1, paint deform natin, and then number 2, yung conform, no? So yung conform, di ko na yan kasi this is very this is very optional lang naman to, and hindi naman siya talaga magagamit talaga naturally, no? Ang focus lang talaga natin is this one right here, no? This is your paint deform tools or yung mga brush tools natin dito, no? So, it has your basic mga basic brushes lang natin dito, yung push and pull, relax, soften, flatten, pinch or spread, smudge, noise, and exaggerate, no? So, uunahin ko muna itong Blender, guys, kasi to be honest, yung 3ds Max pala, unahin ko muna yung 3ds Max before yung Blender because to be honest, Blender, super self-explanatory na yung natin doon, yung sculpting natin doon. So, for this one, demonstrate ko na lang, quick demonstration ko lang itong mga yung mga brushes natin dito, but it's better that you actually play around with this yourself, no? Have fun with this one because this is actually really fun to use, no? When you're, lalo na kapag ka, environment making or terrain making, So, number 1, itong push and pull, no? So, ang usage natin ng mga brush dito, simply just click on a brush na gusto mong gamitin, and then, left click, no? Left click lang tayo. Hold, left click, drag. And then, that's it. That's how you use your brush, no? So, ang tanong dito, bakit kailangan natin ng sobrang high poly? I think it's easier to freeform on Blender, especially when making your shape from a different software. Yes, that is true, Gabriela. That's one of mga magagandang selling points kasi ni Blender, no? It's other than being a free software, it's a good alternative lalo na sa ZBrush, Personally, Blender is definitely the second best sculpting software that you can use. Number 1, still being ZBrush talaga. Ako personally, I use ZBrush instead of Blender pa rin, no? Kasi it's talagang dedicated sculpting software talaga ang ZBrush compared sa Blender. And it's a lot more tools and a lot more convenience and quality of life improvements compared sa Blender, no? So sa push and pull natin, ang initial natin is pull, no? Is pull. Yun yung initial na left click natin. Now, paano natin gamitin yung push naman? So, manonotice nyo dito sa brush setting, sa mga brushes natin dito, meron tayong push/pull, meron tayong relax/soften and pinch/spread, no? Meron tayong mga brushes na may alternative na functions. So, like for example, dito sa push/pull, yung default na left click natin, that's called pull, no? So, paano natin gagamitin yung push? Simply, press and hold lang natin Alt as we hold down left click, no? And then there we go. Yan na yun. That's pushing na, no? That's pushing. Compare natin sa pull. There we go. Nagkaroon na tayo ng parang groove tayo dito, no? This is good for making yun nga, no, mga grooves natin or pwedeng scratches, ano? Pero syempre, this is way too big for a scratch, no? Paano natin liliitan yung brush size natin? And then paano natin iibahin yung brush strength natin? So, to change your brush size, pwede naman natin dito sa paint options, ano? Dito sa ribbon pa rin natin. Simply lang to, edit nyo lang dito yung brush size nyo. Pero that's a bit medyo matrabaho yan, medyo hassle, palagi kayong nandito, tapos drag and drop, ida-drag yung mouse nyo up and down, Ang shortcut natin for that is Shift plus Control, hold nyo Shift plus Control, and then left click, drag it up and down, okay? So, repeat ko, to change your brush size, hold Shift plus Control, plus left click, and then drag it up and down. Yun yung pag-change natin ng brush sizes, no? Okay? Nakaka-follow? Nakaka-follow, guys? Nakaka-follow? Okay. So, that's how we change our brush sizes, no? Wala pong ibang options like sliders. This one right here, no? Ito, slides natin. Ito na yung pinaka-sliders natin compared sa Blender. Sa Blender kasi, sobrang dali lang mag-change ng rate ng brush sizes, no? Pero yun nga, I'll get to that later, no? So, that's how you change your brush size, no? Hold Shift plus Control plus left click, drag it up and down, no? Okay? And then next naman is strength. Same lang rin. Hold lang natin Shift, pero instead the Control, we're actually going to press Alt, no? Press and hold Alt naman. So, Shift plus Alt plus left click, and then drag it up and down. Manonotice nyo, yung sa icon ko, no? Yan, no? Makikita nyo yung strength, no? May nakikita kayong linya doon na nag-up and down, no? That's the strength, no? Strength values of your brush. Okay? Good tayo doon? Okay na tayo doon? Nakaka-follow 3ds Max?
Follow po.
Okay, okay. So, that's push and pull, no? Yun lang and then yun na yung natin, basic controls natin sa mga brushes, no? So, that's push and pull. So, gawa lang ulit ako ng bago, mga basic terrain lang dito. And then, para magamit natin yung mga next na brush natin. Next natin is relax plus and soften, no? So, relax plus soften. So, bale, these dalawa yung function ng brush nito, no? So, pwede nyo rin gamitin dito yung Alt, no? So, yung natin, default natin is soften, no? So, what soften does, this is basically yung pag-blend natin ng mga brushes, no? Yan ay, nagbe-blend siya with the original terrain, no? That's parang blending na yan. Notice nyo? That's soften. Yung relax naman, as the name suggests, basically just instead na pag-blend nga natin, it's mainly for smoothing out, no? Smoothing out yung mga ganitong sa mga slope na yan, Kapag medyo nakikita yung mga faces natin, you might want to use relax, no? So relax, Alt, left click naman din yun. Okay? Next naman is flatten. As the name suggests, it literally flattens a mesh, no? So ayan, nagpa-flatten tayo. We can make certain terrain dito. We can make certain terrain, Yan. Or pwede kayong gumawa ng parang bumps on a or non-organic object, no? So, yan. Okay. And then pinch/spread. Dito naman, ang default naman natin na left click is pinch naman, no? So pinch basically makes a crease like that, kinukurot natin yung mesh natin dito or yung quote-unquote clay natin dito. Kinukurot natin to make creases, no? So yan. Notice nyo, no? Yan. And then spread, ako personally, I don't really like this kasi marami tayong nagkakaroon ng errors dyan. Like for example, like that man, it's not really good, no? So as the name suggests, basically spreads around yung affected na area ng mesh natin and then spreads it out, no? Next, smudge, another very unusable tool. It's almost the same lang rin as spread, but this time it literally does what it says, no? You're just basically spreading stuff dito, no? It's almost like like yung pag-blending natin, but to be honest, you're just going to use soften for that, So you're hardly gonna use smudge talaga. Next, noise. This is actually my favorite, my favorite tool dito, lalo na when you're going to be making your terrains or mga mountains, because this really gives you a very random na pag-pull ng mga mesh natin dito or mga vertices natin dito, no? So there's this randomness dito na that actually works really well when you're going to be making mountains or yung mga natin, yung mga terrain natin. Mostly ganyan ang natin, mga mountains din natin, Hindi naman sa normal na compare dito sa push and pull, is just one big blob tapos tinataas lang natin, Can you adjust the strength of the noise? Dito lang natin yan, sa strength lang natin. So shift plus alt and then yung drag and drop down lang natin. That's the same lang rin. Area. Okay. So last naman natin is exaggerate. Ang exaggerate natin is very situational and sometimes really hindi mo naman kailangan magamit to. So what happens dito sa exaggerate kasi, you're basically inverting stuff. You're basically turning concave objects into convex and then convex to concave, So ganyan, nagkakaroon din tayo ng a bit ng exaggeration dito, This one is good for making, for example, mga mga clothes, yung mga wrinkles natin. This is actually really good if you don't want to use push and pull and then or noise nga, So this is a good tool din naman regardless. Okay? Ayan. So it's best that you play around with this, guys, in your own time, kasi hindi naman talaga ako magtuturo ng sculpting talaga. I'm just only teaching you yung mga tools na pwede niyo magamit, Ayan, dami pwede magawa dyan. Ito, sira-sira na to. This is very unusable terrain na. So, delete ko. So, also question dito. Let's say I want to erase some stuff dito, I want to erase some stuff. Paano natin i-revert to sa dati? So, ang gagawin lang natin, we're just going to press and hold control. Kahit anong brush dito gamitin nyo, doesn't really matter. Press and hold control and then left click to basically revert everything. Revert yung mga binabrush over nyo na objects to its original shape, or yung original na natin. Ayan. Notice nyo? Ayan. We're basically reverting everything na. Now, this is a good use din ng natin. This is a good use when you're going to be making terrain, Lalo na for example, gusto mong gumawa ng road, Pwede kang you might want to try to plan out yung road mo dito and then try to revert that part into a sort of road na dito, by using yung pag-revert lang natin ng tool, Example like this one. Sira-sira itong ko. Ito. Example, this one. Natin yan. I'm trying to flatten this out and then this one, Then there we go. Meron tayong sort of area dito, So when it comes to terrain building, lalo na with these tools right here, the most similar application that you can compare this to is actually in Unity, yung terrain builder ni Unity. So sa terrain builder kasi ni Unity, ang ginagamit kasi natin dito, it's same lang rin to, same tools lang rin na ginagamit kay 3ds Max, no? So it's a very good similarity talaga. And like I said, no, it's really, really good talaga when you're going to make your terrain using 3ds Max, no? Because sobrang ganda ng ano natin, yung possibilities na pwede nyo magawa by simply using noise or push and pull, no? Parang terraforming tools din po ba sa mga game? Yes, parang ganoon na rin 'yon, yung mga world building games, no? Pero I think in most cases sa mga ganun, rin ano eh, ang most na pwede natin nagagawa doon is mostly just adding simple bumps, ano? So I'm not entirely sure na ano. So pwede rin naman 'yon. So most likely ano natin 'yan. Yan yung mga natin, ano? Yan. So play around with this, no? Simplified na mo. Yes, it's simplified na yung mga ganon. So ano ba talaga ang pinaka main use ng mga sculpting tools natin dito sa ano natin? Or basically in general, ano ba talaga use ng sculpting natin when it comes to 3D design other than yun nga, no, making yung environment natin. I said din kanina na you can actually use this to create very fine details, ano? So, personally guys, kung may budget kayo or talaga dedicated kayo maging illustrator or or a 3D artist, no? You might want to invest in a touchscreen na monitor, no? Or a pen tablet, no? Because ang maganda kasi dito is the process of baking textures, no? Or basically baking your high poly models into a texture, no? So ang nangyayari doon kapag sa sculpting kasi, like for example, you're creating writing dito sa plane natin dito, and then i-bake mo siya para ilagay mo siya sa low poly mo na plane like this one, ano? Let me Okay. So basically, this turn on ko to, no? So this is let's assume this one is your low poly, no? This is actually diving in the realm of asset making when it comes to games, no? Lalo na yung baking natin, ano? So basically, any sort of design na gagawin nyo dito, like for example, mag-engraving ka lang dito, let's say, tayo. Let's try to write something, ano? So, let's say, ganyan, nagsulat lang ako ng hiragana dito, no? So, let's say, ganyan yung gusto ko, no? And then, maglagay pa ako dito. And then, yan. Let's say, this is the texture na, ito na yung natin, yung high poly texture natin, nandito na lahat ng gusto kong details na gusto kong gawing texture, no? This is where baking comes into place, no? I'm not gonna be discussing baking na, no, because that's a whole different no, and most likely niyo na to sa nyo in your game development subject na using Play Canvas ata or Unity. So ang mangyayari dyan, you're basically turning this high poly texture and then i-bake mo siya dito to turn this high poly model of this particular plane and converting this one into a texture, no? So basically, magiging texture na to for this one. That's the basic premise of baking, no? Sir, did you learn Japanese? Yes. I know Japanese. So, okay. Yun lang naman. That's basically how baking and basically the main use of sculpting when it comes to game making or basically asset design, no, when it comes to games or especially siguro sa mga apps, no. So that basically ends sa 3ds Max natin. Now ngayon, siguro at this point siguro naman na nyo na to, no, na bisita nyo na to at some point sa mga Blender users dito, na bisita nyo na to siguro at some point. So pero sa mga hindi pa, how do we sculpt dito sa sa Blender, no? So it's very simple lang talaga. It's very simple. It's literally 2 button presses and then you're done, no? Yun yung pinaka ano natin, process natin on how we can sculpt sa Blender. So dito sa mode selection menu natin, dito right here, dito sa top left natin, dito that says may object mode. Alam niyo na siguro yung familiar na kayo. So dito sa object mode, click tayo sa the drop down button and then press lang natin tong sculpt mode. Okay? And then that's about it. You're ready to sculpt na. So also like I said, like sa 3ds Max, do make sure na very high poly yung gagamitin nyo na base object para makita nyo yung mga desired effect na gusto nyo, no? So this one hindi ako masyadong nag-sculpt sa Blender talaga, no? Kasi like I said, I'm using ZBrush talaga. So hindi ako entirely familiar sa lahat ng ng brush set natin dito. But then again, there's really no mistake that can be made dito. Is you're just free to have fun using these tools natin dito, no? You're free to use naman dito yung mga brush tools natin dito, no? For example, sa clay. Madami kayong pwedeng magawa diyan, So you can really start messing around with this. The only difference lang talaga when it comes to sculpting dito compared to 3ds Max, you can literally sculpt anything here, no? Pwede ka mag-add ng mga iba't ibang objects dito and then make that as your base object, and then you can simply blend those two together and then boom, you already have your mga mesh na pwede niyong gawin sa Blender for sculpting. Malay nyo, some of you guys might actually have a talent in sculpting, lalo na sa mga mga characters, no? So this is a fun little function kay Blender that you might want to check out, lalo na sulitin nyo, no? Kasi this is very almost similar na rin to sa ZBrush talaga, no? That compared nga to ZBrush, since ZBrush is a very dedicated sculpting program, compared to ZBrush, Blender has may limitations din naman talaga, no? So have fun with this one, Have fun with this one. So that's about it lang naman, guys, for our module 8, no? So siguro at this point naman na I think you can already guess what your activity 8 will be, siguro. So di ko pa ata na unhide yung stuff nyo, no? So wait lang. Let me unhide lang yung this one. Wait, may nakulang pa ba ako? Right. Let's discuss ko ba tong conform tools? Kasi for ang conform tools nyo kasi, to be completely honest, this is not really a very useful tool. This is not very rare nyong magagamit to talaga. Kasi the function of a conform tool basically just really aligns another object to a certain surface, Like for example, this one, yung face niya dito, nag-align tayo ng plane lang natin dito. Pero to be honest, guys, you don't really need this one because napakadaling i-replicate to without the use of conform tools, no? So siguro hindi ko na di-discuss to kasi, and kung gusto niyo namang kung gusto nyo namang gamitin, this is already the details that you will need. Ako hindi ko na i-discuss to because like I said, I don't find this very useful. Rarely nyo itong magagamit. Very, very rare nyo itong magagamit, no? Lalo na sa Blender. And sa Blender kasi, conform tool is not really available. Kailangan pa natin mag-install ng add-on, sa Blender. But this one, also, guys, since yun nga, hindi ko na ma-demonstrate yung mga brush tools natin dito sa Blender, I've uploaded a video here for you guys, a reference video na pwede nyo panoorin para kung gusto yun nga, nagkaroon kayo ng interest sa sculpting, yung ganun brush sa Blender, pero nasa sculpt mode na po ako. Okay, so Angel, ang possible na reason natin doon is baka kulang yung polys natin. Did you start off sa plane then, Angel? Nag-start ka din ba with the plane? Okay. So, ang possible nun, kasi sa plane, default lang natin doon is parang 4x4, no? So, ang gagawin mo doon to actually convert your plane into a high poly mesh, no? So, let me just move this over here. And then scale ko lang a bit. Okay. So Angel, ganito gagawin mo if you're going to be making terrain using a plane, no? So before you actually start sculpting, kailangan natin magdagdag ng mga polys, no? Or basically subdivision. So sa plane, punta tayo sa modifiers list, and then select lang natin subdivision surface. Select natin ang subdivision surface, and then lagay lang natin sa 5. 5 is the most I can do, pero siguro you might want to go for 4 na lang or 3 kung baka mamaya hindi kaya ng computer mo. And then that should be good na. Oh, wait, actually mayroon pa tayo, kulang tayo. Bakit naging bilog to instead dito na square yung base natin? Ang kailangan gagawin lang natin dito sa may subdivision modifier natin, instead na nakalagay siya sa Catmull Clark, ilalagay lang natin siya sa simple. Select lang natin yung simple, and then yun. Okay na yan. And then once you're done with your levels of viewport, click mo lang tong drop-down button sa subdivision modifier natin. And then, make sure nasa object mode ka pala. Nasa object mode ka para ma-apply mo yung yung modifier mo for this one. And then, select mo lang apply. And then, once you go back to your edit mode, mapapansin mo na, naglalag ako.
Do you add more vertices in Blender again?
Sa plane, John.
Sa vertices.
So, basically, mag-add ka lang ng subdivision surface, no? Subdivision surface modifier. And then, instead na Catmull Clark, select mo lang simplified. Okay?
Yun lang.
Okay, not responding ang Blender ko. Pagod na computer ko. Ayan. So, ito natin. So, notice nyo, no? Na-notice mo, nadagdagan na yung vertices natin. Okay? Okay na yun dyan? Okay. So, and then you can freely start, You can freely start na sculpting. There we go. Ang reason kasi natin, like I said kanina, bakit hindi nagpapakita yung changes natin kahit nagba-brush over tayo using sculpt? Because ang possible na reason natin doon, kulang sa poly count yung yung object natin. Before you start sculpting, you have to make sure na very, very high poly yung ginagamit nyo na object para makita nyo yung changes na nangyayari, no? So, yan. Okay? So, that's basically it, guys, for our Module 8. A very, very short discussion, So, wala na ba kayong questions, guys, regarding Module 8, no? Before I do my rip if 3D Max crashes. Yes. I forgot to mention that, Fair warning sa mga sa 3ds Max, Yung sculpting tool kasi ni 3ds Max, medyo prone din siya sa pag-crash talaga, Kasi yun nga, you will be dealing with very high poly meshes. Pero guys, ano ko lang to, yung sculpting kasi naman natin, I'm not really requiring you to lalo na sa finals nyo, I'm not really requiring you to sculpt. Kung sa tingin nyo, kailangan nyo mag-sculpt, then sure, go ahead. Pero pag nag-crash ang computer nyo, nagkaroon ng blue screen, hindi ko na responsibility yan. So, lang tayo doon. I'm going to just make myself clear. Interesting, but Blender doesn't. Yes, kasi sa Blender kasi, supported din niya kasi yung sculpting, So, medyo medyo okay naman na si Blender. Pero syempre, it's still medyo rin naman yan, may possibility pa rin tayo na magka-crash yun nga, once you're dealing with super duper high poly count, so million yung poly count mo, So kapag ganun yon, most likely baka mag-crash yan, lalo na kapag sa tingin mo hindi kaya ng computer mo, Sir, paano pag di kinaya ng 3ds Max namin, pwede po ba lumipat ng Blender? Yes, pwede, because like I said, sa 3ds Max, you really can't sculpt. You can't. Kahit mayroon siyang tinatawag na quote-unquote sculpting function, it doesn't technically sculpt talaga. You can sculpt, pero it's going to be very, very troublesome and very hectic. Sobrang hassle lang magiging Trust me, guys, I would know. I will actually, let me just share yung
dito
ginawa.
madami vertices ng plane for some reason. Di siya madaming vertices ng plane.
Because kailangan mong i-apply yung natin, I-apply yung subdivision surface,
Wala ba tong preview?
Sa edit mode.
Preview for some reason.
Yes, because you're gonna have to go to edit mode to actually see yung ano natin, yung mga vertices mo, no? Yung mga vertices, yung mga edges natin, or basically yung poly count mo after subdivision, no? And gone through crash it. Let me actually share ko lang yung saan ko ba? Right, saan yun? Midterms. Where is it? Midterms. Saan yun eh? I actually shared this dati, no? Yung basically yung midterms ko or yung midterms ko for 3D anim. This one right here. Can anyone guess how much poly count itong bust lang ni Venom? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess? I still remember this up to this day. I still remember it because ilang beses nag-crash ang computer ko dahil dito. And I regret every second of it. Kaya I'm not really enforcing you guys to use 3ds Max to sculpt. Lahat ito, this is all sculpted sa 3ds Max, no? And it was the biggest mistake of my life. This was the biggest mistake of my life now. Actually sculpting in 3ds Max. No. So 1,000? No, Daphne. No. That's way too low. I know, but I can tell it's a lot. Yes, it's a lot. So 1 million? No. Nope. 500,000? Nope. Nope. So, ang sabihin ko na, this simple bust alone is 12 million, 12.5 million pala. 12.5 million. This bust alone. So you better make sure na kayang-kaya ng computer mo na mag-handle na with this high amount of poly count if you're planning to sculpt sa 3ds Max. Because, bruh, if you don't, you're gonna smell your fan burning. So that's a fair warning ko na lang to sa mga 3ds Max users, no? Kung hindi talaga kaya ng lumipat na kayo sa Blender if you're going to sculpt, no? Sabi ko, yes, baka possible, masunog pa yung lulutuin mo, no? Kapag nag-sample pa sa laptop mo, if yung ka nag-sculpt sa 3ds Max, no? So, yun na yun. That's just one warning lang naman, no? The rest here, hindi naman na yan. These are just, nasa lang to. Parang 200k lang naman yung polys. So, it's that this one biggest mistake of my life. Nag-overachieve lang talaga ako at that time, no? Kaya nag-strike ko ng sculpting with 3ds Max, which is again a big mistake. So yun lang naman. That's for our module 8 na, no?